Hi, Robin with Oxy-Dry, and today I'm in my garage, obviously, and we're going to do a little comparison with these three very similar vacuums, and I will show you the differences in them, and we'll talk about the pros and the cons of each vacuum, and this ought to be interesting because I think that the Proteam is one of the more popular vacuums out there, and I used them for quite a few years actually. I went through probably 3 or 4 of them over a few years, and this is my most recent one, which is I think is about 2 years old, and I'll talk a little bit about that. The Hoover Hushtone, I bought that I guess a little over a year ago, I think, and I've been using that a lot more. I actually stopped using the Proteam, I guess after I got this vacuum here, the Hoover, the Proteam. I no longer carried in the van. I used to carry the Proteam specifically for certain types of really thin carpets, because when I was using the Kirby, which if you watch my channel, I was using Kirby's for a while there, and I still have I think I have 9 of them. But on certain carpets, the Proforce would be a better choice, so I carried the 2 of them. But I got rid of the Proteam out of my van, and when I need a vacuum for those really thin carpets, I just use the Shark Rocket with its power head, and it works just fine for that. So the Proteam got put in the garage, and I was carrying the Hushtone, and I was using the Workhorse for a while, but I've moved away from the Workhorse primarily because of having to constantly clean out the filter, and dumping it was a pain in the butt, messy, especially if you're trying to dump it into a garbage bag and it's windy. I'm going from one house to the other, and I had junk in there, and I'd go and dump it out. I have a plastic bag, but I try to contain it when I was dumping it, and it's just messy. And there were things about it that I found on certain carpets. It just also felt like it was kind of tippy, left and right tippy, kind of wobbly on the carpet sometimes, and the using the edge tool requires you to bend down and flip the valve at the bottom, and not that it's not a good vacuum, but I decided to go back to using a bagged vacuum. The cleanliness of the bag is a big reason. And of course, all these vacuums here have Hepa filters, and the Workhorse does not, so there's that too. But anyway, let's talk about these vacuums. This is the focus of this video. And then very recently, just last week, I actually picked up the Sebo. And so the first thing I want to talk about is the price differences on these vacuums. The cheapest one is that one. In Canada, I just looked up the price on Amazon.ca. This vacuum is now selling for $462, I think, and 95 cents. And when I bought it last year, I think I bought it. I paid, I think, $430 plus tax, obviously. So that's actually the cheapest vacuum, interestingly enough. I just called my supplier in Kelowna here, a janitorial supply place that sells these, the Proteam, and the price on it right now is $570. That's a big difference in pricing. And then this vacuum here, which I just bought a few days ago, I paid $700, and its normal retail is $750. I get a discount at the vacuum store that's the distributor for them. Now this is the top of the line Sebo. They have other ones which are less money. I could have bought the manual one that goes up. You adjust the height up and down manually. This has the automatic, which I'll talk about in a minute. And it's about $100 less than this. So that puts it you know, much more closer to these vacuums. And there's actually a couple of other models I think that are even less. So this is the top of the line Sebo vacuum. It was most expensive. So we'll get back to talking about that. So let's talk about the differences. The most obvious difference on them is that this vacuum here has two motors. It has a power head motor and a vacuum motor. And both of these ones are a single motor, which with the brush roll running off of the vacuum motor as well. So that's a big difference. As far as performance goes, well, we'll talk about that. This vacuum was originally designed in the 70s, I believe, and was sold under the Electrolux brand, but it was, the power head was identical. The body was almost identical. It didn't have the Hepa filters, which that has there on the bottom there. And the top of the vacuum here, rather than having the hose here, it had this compartment here had this channel that went over, and because the air comes up here, and then it would just go to the left here and down into the bag. And they used to have you could clip on a hose that would slide down into here. So they didn't have the hose thing like it does now. So this is an upgrade when they changed it over to this. So you had your hose handy for doing edges and whatever. It's a older technology, obviously, and some of the thinking that went behind it at the time was fine, but things have moved on from there. One of the things about it is that this vacuum has no height adjustment for the power head, and so what happens is it is basically, and a lot of vacuums are that way, where the power head and the brush roll are set at whatever, and as it slides across the carpet, it's I guess it's a compromise, because on a certain type of carpet like this, on really low power carpet, works very well, but as the carpet gets thicker and thicker, there is a problem, and I'll deal with that. I'll show you that in a minute, how they address that. So it is a good vacuum. I used them for years. I did discover their strengths and weaknesses, and so we'll talk about that. But when you buy the vacuum, it has a long power cord. I think it's about 50 foot, and it's got that quick release thing. And it has this is not the original tool that comes with it. It comes with a dusting brush, like a round thing, and then a little Crevice Tool thing there. Clips on the back. That's nice. And as I said, it does have, there's two HEPA filters that you can change as they clog up. To pull out the hose, as you're for doing edges, you pop that out and zoom, and zoom. Anyway, you can switch off the power head right here and just have straight suction, because it's a two-position switch, because there's both the vacuum motor and the power head motor. But the other thing that happens is as you pull this tube out, there's actually a micro switch in here that automatically turns off the power head, so that you don't forget to switch over to just the suction, because if you leave it sitting still on the carpet, the brush roll remains at the operating level on the carpet, so it'll keep spinning on the carpet, and you don't want that. However, one of the weaknesses that is very common with these vacuums is that micro switch, which is up in the top here, it's quite common that they fail, and then the vacuum's not running, and it's really frustrating. So what most people will do is you take it into the repair shop. At least my repair guy, what he would do is he just, I've done it myself, but you just hotwire the switch at the top, and you don't have to worry about that. When you're running the vacuum, there's a brush roll indicator light that comes on. See the light turned on there? And then there's a light that comes on. If it jams, there's like a little circuit breaker there, and it'll pop. So that takes a second or two for it to happen. And then in order to get it back rolling again, and what'll happen is that other light over here on the left, where my finger's pointing there, Am I doing it right? I can't see. I can't focus with that. I'm looking at the camera, so 3 inches from my face. But anyway, there's a light there that'll turn on, and it'll indicate that the brush roll has jammed and the reset needs to be set again, so you just push that button down. And of course there's a full bag indicator light as well. So that's what you got there. Just handy to have that. One of the things that the issues that has happened with these vacuums is that detent. And notice when you go to lower the vacuum, you just put your foot on the head and you pull it back. But there's a spring thing on the back here, and I've had them break on me quite a few times over the years. And they're famous for that, apparently. That's what my repair guy tells me. To get the hose off, you just unclip it there if you need to open up, or when you need to open up and get the bag out. And there's the bag. It's a large bag, and there's a foam filter on the bottom there that you can wash out and replace. So put that back in place. And there's also a little another micro switch right over here. I don't know if you can see that. Right there's a micro switch. So the idea being that if you were to forget to put a bag in there, you could close this, but it won't run. And my repair guy again has told me stories of how he's got janitorial companies that use these, and for whatever reason that switch was either they bypassed it or it was jammed, and they closed the lid and it still ran, and then they filled up the container, the body of the vacuum with dirt, but there was no bag in there. Anyway, the other thing about this vacuum, it does work well. As I said, I used them for a few years, and at the time, back in the 70s, this was one of the few vacuums of this type out there, and that was the Electrolux version. So, and at the time, there weren't a lot of hard body vacuums out there. Most of the vacuums were like the Hoover and the Eureka with the bags on the back. Direct air vacuums, I guess they call those. So that was actually considered a pretty modern vacuum in its day. I think it's airflow and a water lift, or 80 or 90, I can't remember which is which, but so it's a pretty standard performing vacuum. But one of the issues that I have had recently is this vacuum, I actually had to replace this whole top section here because it literally fell apart on me. I mean, and I've had that. I had one where the hinge on the top here, all the plastic inside here, all inside here, it all cracked and fell apart. So I had to replace this whole top, and I did that. And this is from an older vacuum that I had, which was some pieces. So I replaced that. This is not the original top. And then this whole piece just disintegrated on me as well. So then I had to replace this, and this again came from the older vacuum, and then I replaced it onto this newer vacuum. So I suspect that perhaps what's been happening is that the Proteam manufacturing, somehow the plastic, they've changed the quality of the plastic maybe. I don't know. It looks identical. But to have them literally start cracking apart like that, that was really alarming for me. And that's when I started to look around for another vacuum. And that's when I went and looked at the Hoover Hushtone, which basically was meant to replace this vacuum. So now the other issue with this vacuum is that if you have the clogging. Yeah, right. Now, the way this vacuum is designed, at the back, lower that down, the air is coming in right here, and it goes up this hose. And this hose is quite, obviously you can see it's quite large, but you can see it also does a little turn, and then it goes up the tube. See, the tube is actually over on the left, on this side, on the left side. So it's going up here, and it angles over here and goes up. I have many times had to pull this thing off, and you can actually just pull it off. It just friction fitted on there, and I can't tell you how many times I've had to unclog these vacuums over the years that I've used them. And by the way, there's that little spring thing I mentioned. So that's a frustration. I actually carried a little wire thing, metal rod in my van just for clogging these things, unclogging them, and it probably happened every couple of months, I would say. And of course, because I do vacuum, pre and post vacuum, sometimes when you vacuum a carpet, you're getting a little bit of moisture in here, and stuff tends to collect in there, or for whatever reason there was something jammed in there. And in order to get this brush roll at the brush roll, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I think 9 screws that you have to undo. You undo those screws, pull them all out, then you flip the vacuum up like this, and you drop it down, and then you lift that cover off, and then you can get at the brush roll. And you know, if you need to change the belt, it has a cog belt, and you last a very good long time, but I've had them break, and I've had to replace them a couple times. But that is a concern as far as it's simply not a very user-friendly when it comes to doing any maintenance, unclogging it or whatever. So that is a design flaw for this vacuum. Well, maybe it's not a design flaw, but I guess you can call it a weakness. A weak point that this vacuum has is that it will clog. If you pick up a paper clip or something like that, it can jam in that where it kind of changes directions there, and next thing you know, you're spitting out dust out the front of your vacuum there because it's no longer got airflow, and you have to pull it apart, and it can be a problem. I've had some jams in this tube that have been very difficult to get out. I always have been able to, but that's a very common issue with those vacuums. So let's look at the Hushtone. This vacuum is really focused on being a commercial vacuum, and in that respect it's made to be user-friendly and easy and simple to maintain, and if any clogs were to happen, very easy to get at them, because the hose over on the left side, you just turn that, it pulls off. There's a clip on the bottom on the left here, and so I could just pop that off of there like that. Very, very easy to get at that. So they were thinking about, the real world when they designed that. Hang on a minute. Actually, I need to do it this way. Put that in there first. There we go. And then we'll put that in there. Hang on a minute. There we go. And then this hose unclips here. You see, that's the edge tool, and that unclips there. And then the hose also will undo there and pull off. So it's very easy to get at if you were to have a clog or whatever. Easy to get at everything. It does have manual height adjustment, which does give it an advantage over this because I should mention that you can turn off the power head on this. So for vacuuming on smooth floors, that works pretty well, although it doesn't have a sweeper on the back, so it is depending strictly on its suction, and it's a bit of a compromise, but it does work more or less. Whereas this one, this vacuum does have a bare floor setting, and it comes with a rubber strip at the back of the brush roll here, and so that works quite well, although I removed mine because I did find that on certain carpets I could feel the rubber squeegee thing sort of interfering with the way the vacuum moved on the carpet, so I just pulled it off because I virtually never need to deal with vacuuming up on the hard floor, although occasionally I do, but that's not a big deal. And it has it has 3 settings: high traffic, commercial, and really high carpet, although it doesn't go that high. I would say on a really long pile carpet, it probably wouldn't be ideal, but anyway. It also has the Intellibelt System, which means that if the brush roll jams, the machine just shuts off, and then you just unjam it and turn it back on again, and away it goes. It also has a more or less permanent belt. It has a reinforced belt, so it's not just a rubber band belt which would snap, but it has a reinforced belt, like same kind of a belt like on a serpentine belt in your car. Same idea. So it would last a good long time. On the back of the vacuum, you do have, it does have the quick release for the cord. It comes with a, I think it's about a 40-foot cord or so. This, I had to replace mine. I broke it. Actually, I think I accidentally went over it and ate it in the power head or something like that. I can't remember what happened to it. Anyway, I replaced it. And it comes with a little dusting brush, which is silly. I never use that. But it has a nice crevice tool and it pops right there. That's nice. Yeah, that's good. The release is right there for lowering it. And as far as, the bag, it also has a full bag indicator, although I really don't think these things work very well. So, I mean, if it showed any red at all, it means it's probably clogged. But anyway, it has that. It also has 2 speeds, which is really quite handy. High power, and then you reduce speed. I'll turn it on. So typically what I do is I will vacuum on the high power, and then for post grooming I will switch it down to low power. It has Hepa filter right here, and there's a charcoal filter in there as well, so that's handy and good. The bag just pops out like that, and there's a washable filter down there. This bag is easy to get into place and pull out of there easily. It feels like it's a good strong machine. I haven't had it all that long, so but I think that overall the quality of it is really quite good. I did have this clip came around here and it broke off, but actually it made it easier to use, because I found that pulling this out of here was just a little bit too much tension there. But pardon me. But now that back half is gone, it's easier to pull that out and do the edges and whatever. But there is one drawback to this vacuum as far as the edging goes. Pardon me. And that is that the way the hose is clipped on the back here, really you got to kind of go like that and then pull it out, and then you can do your edging. So that's a minor thing, but that is something to bear in mind. It's just a little bit awkward. What I often will do is, if I'm going to be doing a lot of edging, is I'll stick it on here like that, and then I'm vacuuming along. Now if I need to do the edge, then sometimes it seems to work. Anyway, I'll put it back where it was. But overall, I do like the overall design and the functionality of this vacuum. And one of the nice things about it is, in order to get out the brush roll, all you need to do is these latches just go like that, back, and this one over here, and then this whole bottom plate just pops right off. Very easy to get at, so if you need to clean it, easy to do, no tools required, and it's just a nice, simple, easy design. So it's more of a user-friendly, much easier to deal with than this. And I've never had a clog in here yet, but I mean, how could I clog it anyway? Because I can easily just pull the hose off and clean it out if I need to. So that's all good. So that's definitely an improvement over the Proteam. And I think that's about all I can say about that vacuum. And then we come over here to the Sebo, which is, I've only used it, I haven't used it very much. I used it one big job the other day. I did a commercial job with where I did the video. I just posted a video about that. And then the day before that, I used it on a couple of smaller jobs. So I haven't used it much, but I'm definitely liking it. There's some really nice features about this vacuum that it's definitely an improvement over the Proteam, and it is an improvement, I think, over the Hoover. And so we'll talk about that. So it comes with the Crevice Tool, which sits right there, but I have it clipped on here because it comes with this clip, and since the Crevice Tool is what I'm more likely to use, I just clip it there and it's easy to grab. So that's nice. It has a, oh, there's another tool right here. Yeah, there you go. And the release for the handle is right there. Easy to get at. Now another interesting thing about this vacuum is the Proteam, the vacuum motor is actually right at the bottom of the body, and so it is in the Hoover, in the bottom of the body, whereas this vacuum has the vacuum motor in the power head, which is interesting, which gives it a lower center of gravity. So it feels, I would say it feels the lightest on the handle. So that's nice. Let's see, what else can I say about it? It has the power cord release right there, and of course it has edging tool here, which just pops out very easily. Oops. And the switch is up at the top here, which is nice. On the Hoover, it's right here, which I didn't like so much. I thought, if I really want to, panic, turn off this vacuum, I'd rather have the switch here. So I do like that. The overall quality of this machine definitely feels good. Apparently it is made of the same kind of plastic as they make football helmets out of. So I guess that makes it good, right? It's got a handy lifting handle right here. Hoover, by the way, has one at the bottom as well. And one of the things I noticed about this right away is this vacuum will do stairs really well. Holding onto this handle, it'll do stairs just great. The Proteam, not very well. It doesn't work very well because there's nowhere to hang on to it at the bottom for one. Plus, it just doesn't seem to sit on the steps well. And the Hoover will, but again, it's more awkward. This one is, of the three, this one definitely does the steps. You can do the steps with this vacuum. It's not really that bad. I've been using the Shark Rocket for quite some time, but I'm thinking I might just be using this all the time now. And of course, it would have a little more power too, or probably a lot more power actually. Oh, I forgot to speak. Speaking of power, according to Hoover, this vacuum I believe has 120 CFM. That's on their website, and about 80 or 90 inches of water lift. Although there's some dispute about that, because one of the vacuum video guys, I think Vacuum Wars or one of the other guys, did a test with the Hoover Hushtone, and he couldn't get 120 CFM. He was getting a 90 CFM, I think, out of it. So maybe Hoover's fibbing, I don't know. But on the Sebo, on their website, they say this vacuum has 120 CFM. Their other models are a little less, 108 CFM apparently. So anyway, it definitely has good power. That has good power too. You can definitely feel the difference in the power between the Hoover and the Proteam. This definitely has more power. So there's a handle here to hold to pick it up, and to get it in the bag, you just open it up, and there you go. Now I have this bag has got about a quarter full. I've been using it a little bit. It has a Hepa filter right here, but it also has another Hepa filter on the. Oops, I'll lower that. Did I do that right? I think so. There you go. There, it locks it in place like that. But it has a filter right here as well. And I don't know how to get in there. I'll have to figure that out. I think it's at the back here, and then that cover comes off. Anyway, also, if I did get a clog in this vacuum, because there's an elbow here, this button, you push this button, and this whole thing pops right off. Then you can get at the elbow that's right on the bottom there. And as far as the power head, the brush roll goes, to get the brush roll off, push that button, and that pops off, and brush roll slides out. I'll stick it back. There you go. And on the other side, there's another, because this has this little arm here or whatever, there's another chunk of brush roll over here. The belt is actually right about here, I guess. And that pops off, and that end of that brush roll comes off. Easy to get at and clean. So, all good, right? The other thing is, as far as doing edges and everything, this hose pops out easily. And this is an advantage it definitely has over the Hoover, is that as I pull it out, the hose retracts down into this pipe. And so when you pull it out, it pulls out, and then when you slide it back in place, when it's running, it'll just retract like that. So that's going to be a good feature. I've had some comments on the Hoover Hushtone where I did a review on it before, a few months back, and a couple of guys had mentioned they have the Hoover Hushtone, they like it well enough, but they found that the hose had split fairly quickly, and that was a concern. I think that this design here will make this vacuum less likely to have a hose split. Eventually will, I suppose, but I think it's just a better design as far as that goes. So, and that's almost it. There's one more thing about this vacuum now that is really quite cool, and it's one of the reasons why I was quite intrigued with it. And as you can see, by the way, there are lights on here. We have down and up, check brush, and a check bag light. So when the bag is, when there's a constriction or the bag is full, that'll light up. And this light here is for if the brush roll gets worn down, then this light will turn on and tell you it's time to change your brush roll. Isn't that smart? And now the down and the up is because when you turn this vacuum on and you lower it in place, then the brush roll will adjust to each carpet type. It'll measure the resistance of the brush roll on the carpet, and it'll decide with preset whatever where the optimum height of the vacuum head is in relation to the carpet for maximum performance. That is a really nice feature. So I'll turn it on, and what we'll see is whenever you turn it off, it raises itself up. So if you're going to do edges, and you have the vacuum standing there, the vacuum will lift itself off the carpet. Now, actually, that's not something that this will do. So you got to be very careful with the Hoover, because if you turn it off, or go to use the edge tool, pardon me, you got to be careful because that brush roll will keep spinning on the carpet. And so what I typically do is I'll tilt it back, or if I'm leaving it running for whatever reason, I actually have to put that vacuum on its back. So because the brush roll will not stop running on the carpet. So that's something to bear in mind. The Proteam, of course, I would just shut off the power head, whereas so that's good as far as that goes. Now, so I'll turn it on, and so can you see that? You know what? I'm going to turn off my light here, because last time I did the video, there was so much glare it didn't work too well. So we'll turn it off. Ooh, cool, eh? So now you're going to see it. So I'll turn it on, and I'll watch the lights. It's lowering. Now it's in place. Cool, eh? So now when I shut it off, oops, pardon me. Hang on a minute. So I'm gonna, now I shut it off. Now see, as I lift it up, that is, it is raising back up. Now it turned off, and so now that it's in the upright or rest position. So now this is going to be interesting. We're going to do a little performance test here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an interesting thing about these three vacuums, and try and guess which one you think is going to win this contest before I actually get there. So we'll put this vacuum here, and I can just leave it in the upright position because it's actually in the position that it would be at even when if I was vacuuming, because the head doesn't go up and down at all. And we're going to do the little tug of war with the paper roll. So turn this on, and the power brush won't actually be on this, but it's all about the airflow. So this will be interesting. So which one do you think is going to win? Let's find out. Now this vacuum has a brand new bag in it. There's nothing in the bag at all. Isn't that interesting? Now how can that be? This has more airflow. I know it does. But I can't take the paper towel roll away. No. We'll leave that on for now. So now we'll try the Sebo. Now surely the Sebo will win, right? And by the way, the Sebo has about a quarter full of bag, so we'll see what happens here. And it's actually not running at full speed because I'm running on the same circuit. Can't take it away. Now why is that? Well, the reason is really quite simple and interesting. And in order to show that, I'm going to lower this vacuum, and I'm going to drop this one down, and I'm going to drop this one down. And we're going to see an interesting thing. You notice on these two vacuums, they have a smooth bottom plate here. And by the way, there's a little rubber squeegee thing for doing smooth floors right there on this vacuum. And this one I removed, okay? But what happens is this vacuum and this vacuum, they're designed to go down onto the carpet and draw the air up through the carpet, which is, of course, what you want to have happen, right? But look at this. Look at all the slots in here. See that? See this vacuum, there's no height adjustment on this vacuum, and this vacuum actually rides on these, I guess you'd call them shoulders or whatever. So this vacuum, a lot of the air that's coming into the vacuum is actually coming across the top of the carpet. And isn't that interesting? So in this tug of war, head to head with these vacuums, this vacuum has an advantage because most of the air is actually coming from the front of the vacuum across the carpet, whereas with these vacuums, the air is drawing up through the carpet. Interesting. Now, I did bring a new bag in for the Sebo because the Sebo has like I say, it's actually got a fairly full bag in here. So I'm curious to see. Let's see, how do I do this? I've actually never taken the bag off. I'm sure it's probably simple, right? Oh, there we go. You squeeze it. Okay. So let's put a new bag on. Okay, I think it slides like that and that. Oh, nice. Okay, so we got a new bag. So, let's see if it makes any difference. Is that on? I think it's in place. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, so we'll do another little head-to-head here. Oh, by the way, notice that? Watch this. Aha. See, it's drawing the air at the front of the vacuum. But will a new bag make a difference here? It won't. So that's interesting. But that's not a reflection of this vacuum having superior power, but having a different design on the bottom plate. And in fact, it proves that this vacuum is not drawing air very well from the bottom of the carpet, whereas these two vacuums will be more effective at that. So that's an interesting comparison, I think. We've got very old school over here. Older thinking, like I say, the Electrolux, which this is basically the Electrolux vacuum with a few improvements with the hose and Hepa filter. But that the bottom plate actually is not going to allow that vacuum to draw air from the bottom of the carpet very well. So both of these two vacuums are going to be much better at deep cleaning. And of the three of them, well, that's actually the cheapest one. So that's definitely the best bang for your buck. But I do really like the features on this vacuum, and I'm looking forward to, putting a lot more miles on it, and then I will. Oh, I almost forgot one more important thing. You probably noticed this, but this vacuum has a light, and it really is bright. And I was doing a job the other day there, and I had to vacuum underneath a desk in a person's office, and the light, there's just no light underneath there, and the fact that I was able to see right into the back of the desk was just great. So that's another advantage to that vacuum. So that's definitely a better vacuum for our purposes than this. These vacuums in their day were a great vacuum, but there are much better choices, I think. My opinion. I know there's lots of guys out there that love the Proteam. I'm not saying it's not a good vacuum. I'm just saying there are better choices out there. So anyway, I would certainly take a look at the Hoover Hushtone. I think it's a great vacuum. And then the Sebo, not necessarily this model. If you don't want to spend, the top dollar, there's others. As I said, there's other models available too. I'll be using the Sebo for the next little while, and if anything really interesting comes up, I'll comment on this video again, or I'll do another video about it, but we'll see. Oh, one more thing, this has rubberized wheels on it, so there's like a rubber part to the wheel, so when you're rolling across someone's floor, it's quite quiet. It's actually, I think, a little bit quieter than the Hoover, at least on the high setting. Anyway, let's see. They're pretty close, I guess. Oh, one more thing. This vacuum also, I'll put it like this. This vacuum goes down really low. This vacuum, actually, if we hit that thing again, I think, oh, no, that's it. So it's thinner, but this one, well, I think it goes down pretty low too. Well, what do you know? I guess the Sebo does go the flattest, because the filter body thing there sticks up above anyway, and the Hoover definitely is a fatter machine. But anyway, there's the differences between these three vacuums, and I thought you might find that interesting. And those of you guys who are watching my channel and have seen, I've done a few videos on different vacuums in the last couple of years, so I thought that might be interesting for you to give a little comparison and if you're thinking about a new vacuum, well, I would definitely suggest looking at the Hoover or the Sebo line and see if there's something there that'll suit you in that. Oh, and by the way, in Canada, I can only get this vacuum from Amazon. They don't sell it in the stores, and the Sebo line is sold in stores. There's a whole network across Canada, and I assume there's a network of distributors of the Sebo line across the USA as well, although I don't really know that for sure, but I'm assuming it. But anyway, there, I hope that helps you guys and gives you some thoughts and insights into your vacuum options that are out there. And anyway, hope that helps, and have a good rest of your day. Bye now.